requested numbers from Uber, which we did get, and Bryce is setting up a meeting with Uber next week, and he's been instructed to pass all the information he gathers on to the Senate. And all of you, I'm sure, are welcome to attend that, so if you want to contact him. You all know we had a phone call with Don Rendell this week, and step the governor. That was a good thing, good practice for our team. We did have an Arizona Student Government Collaborative phone call this morning that was released to that all the student body presidents across Arizona, mainly some of the student body presidents at ASU, and hash out their concerns that Ryan was just mentioning regarding the bylaws. So I'm going to be working with one of the presidents to basically hash out language changes within the bylaws so we can reach a compromise. And either get it to where it's passed in some of the ASU locations this semester, because I don't think it's going to be viable for all of them, or at least to the point where they're going to advise their successor to pass it at their first meeting coming in the fall. So we're going to be working on that. I met with lots of student reporters this week. You guys know that I wrote Senate Bills 26 to 29. I apologize for changes we had to make to the education bills and whatnot, but that's going to be trying to update attendance strike policies. And then I've also been updating job descriptions as well working with Jackson. So hopefully you all feel like you were included in the formation of those. I tried to do that. We're preparing for the athletics fee discussion within the Council of Presidents. I'm getting answers to all the senators' great questions. Thank you all so much for doing a thorough job going through the athletic fee document. If you have any questions about that, feel free to ask me. I'd love to inform you on the answers I got, so just reach out. I found out that USGD is allowed to purchase M&G meal vouchers to use as incentives for students. This was an idea we had to see if we could get students to engage with our office hours. So I need to hear from all of you on what ways you think we could use that to incentivize students to engage with us. So those are meal vouchers like Starbucks drink or Devil's Green item or something like that. And so I just need your ideas as far as if you want us to potentially try something this semester or to come up with ideas that so we can recommend the incoming team to do something. I began scheduling even more transition meetings with Jackson, as well as I reached out to Ernie. I went to the ASU trustee meetings and the ABOR meetings last week. If you want any updates about the trustee meetings, feel free to ask me. We met with the Well-Level Coalition Interim Advisor. I had some staff members that were able to make that too, so thank you. Just to talk about getting regular STI testing offered on the campus. They actually sent back some additional questions, so I'm going to answer those and we'll see what next steps we can take. We had budget presentations within the Council of Presidents. They all went very well. I expected approval, but I'm waiting for final approval. And I'm happy with the number that it looks like downtown is going to be getting for the increase. We've made specific line items. I'm happy to talk about that with them. Just reach out. One time funding request we're due on May 1st. So the way the student fee budgets work is there will be most likely, but not always, a certain amount of money that is left over from each of the student fee allocations at each location. Because you all know that even if we give every single dime of what we have, it's not always all spent on the student works. So sometimes when we still end our books, we have some left over. So what they do is they bundle that all together, and then each of the student body presidents make a request for each of their locations, which we then basically say this is the reason why that funding should go to downtown, or some of the funding could go to downtown before X request. So some stuff that we've done in the past has been like the water filtration stations, as well as skateboard racks. West is asking for like a permanent speaker system. They're also asking for improvements in their meditation lounge. So stuff like that. I need ideas for the one-time funding request, and I need them quickly. So if you have any, please send me an email over the weekend, because I need to figure out how much they cost so that it's ready for the May 1st funding request. So the I Go to ASU Because campaign, if all of you remember, which I'm sure you do, it was supposed to launch this week. You pushed it off 1 week because the videos, one, there was a misunderstanding about the launch date with ASU Now. They thought we were supposed to launch this upcoming Monday. So when they tried to kind of scramble and get the videos together, I wasn't as satisfied with them as I would have liked to be. So we pushed it off 1 week for this upcoming Monday, but now I'm actually really happy with the way the videos are looking. The launch is going to be 1 week, so next Monday through Friday, 5 days. The videos are now 40 seconds long. They all have subtitles, and they've been put in specific categories to engage the students. So innovation, academic excellence, research, community, and learn to thrive. So you guys are going to receive emails from me throughout the week, basically supplying you with those videos so that you can help post it on your personal social media links as well as share it. So I really would appreciate your all support in this. We've been working on this for a while. We really just want to try to push it out, and then we're going to look basically at the analytics at the end and see if it was all successful. We're going to try to get it on My ASU too, if we can get it offered there, as well as it is going to be on a static page on the ASU Now website, but we've been mainly focusing on social media as around it. And that concludes my updates.
Any questions? All right, now moving on to director reports, starting with chief of staff.
Okay, a few quick things. Everyone got board reports in. Yay. Also, I took 3 questions off the board reports, so yeah. Thank you. Hispanic Heritage Month Committee, if anyone's interested, I sent out an email, also posted on Facebook or Friday. There's a link, you'll have to request access to the Google Sheet. That'll be, well, I just got an email about it actually from James Randall, who's the head of the committee. I can forward that if anyone wants it. Also, Earth Day volunteering hours, which Marianne's kind of been heads up. I checked with both Karina and Lauren. It'll count as outside office hours. If anyone wants to participate in that next Monday, it's a great cause. And two birds with one stone there. Also, SWAT training will be April 24th in Tempe at the SDOC. If anyone wants to do that, that's sexual wellness ambassador training. And then we're actually trying to work to get one next Senate meeting after this. So that's pretty much it.
Any questions? Okay, moving on to Director of State Municipal Affairs.
So this week I was able to I called Senator Biggs, Allen, Griffin, and Yarborough, and I also contacted Representative Montenegro, Speaker of the House Allen, Representative Robson, all of which who I left a message and they have not called me back. Also, however, I was able to set up a meeting with Representative Shope, in which Ryan attended this previous Wednesday at 10:30. So it went pretty well. Also, so I did receive a message back from Representative Livingston that he's actually unable to meet because just of the hecticness in the session. So I'm not going to be able to meet him, that's unfortunate. Instead, he wanted me to email him with information regarding university funding. So I will bid on that. And also, I finally got into contact with somebody from the city of Phoenix regarding a parking project. His name's Ben Carpenter. And he told me there's no immediate plans to expand parking meters in the Roosevelt area, at least through 2016. However, on First Street, south of Fillmore, they will have new pavement from McKinley to Moreland, and parking meters between January and March of 2017. However, he does have numerous requests on Roosevelt between 4th and 7th Street once the construction is complete to build the meters. So expect that to happen. But he has no immediate plans for West Roosevelt and for ASU parking meters, at least until does business development meetings. And of course, we spoke with Governor Ducey's education policy advisor, Don Wallace, on the phone, which wasn't, we didn't get to talk to Governor Ducey, but she gave us a few insights, and it was good talk to her. So, and
Any questions? All right, moving on to Director of Administration.
So this whole week I've been planning out vendors and all that stuff. New boards are in, and so is after this meeting I will finalize the catering and all that stuff. And it's just a matter of just decorating stuff, all of that. Also, yeah, if you guys like to help, I'll send out another email. I sent out one this Tuesday. Marianne is working on the slideshow, which is really great. She'll probably pass on that. And then also just, probably Nathan will talk to you more about this, but we're trying to get in contact with a representative from Tempe about the advocacy, just like get a whole group started on that before, or kind of like in this transitioning period from senators and representatives from this year to next year, just kind of like so they can take it on, just passing on the torch. But Nathan will update you more on that. Also, I worked with planning on that too. And then just kind of like working on wellness stuff. I went to the meeting that Karina spoke about. But other than that, I've mostly been focusing on banquet stuff. So if you guys have any suggestions or if you guys would like to see something, please email me and hopefully we get something done. Right? It's next week, you guys. It's next Saturday from 1 to 3. So be there, please. And that pretty much concludes my report.
Any questions? Okay, moving on to Director of Public Relations.
Hello, everyone. So I have some kids. Let's first talk about You're late getting your audience tonight. It was due last Friday. This Friday. For second. So that was, if you didn't turn it in, you got an email from me saying you didn't turn it in. And that has been great. So I uploaded 2 blogs this week, and we had an all-time high visibility. We had 46 new visitors for a total of 69 views, just from 2 posts. So I just wanted to let you guys know that while you think like so pointless or they're not doing any good, we're clearly reaching students, and I think it's a great outlet. And it's just another way we can reach students aside of the traditional social media for sitting at it. I love all the timeless pieces for the blog, so people can write like 4 ways to meta, or like top reasons to go to ASU or something. Like those are really great pieces, and they're timeless. So we can provide them next week, next year, 2 years from now. So that's great. But I also love it. And I have coverage for my position. Next year, community day, so we need to do that position. Happy note, I am canceling the last 2 deadlines of the year. So if senators want to have another blog post, which I think was not another blog post, just because I have enough content to last the rest of the year. So there you go. Happy April. So you guys are done with blogs, unless you have to turn yourself this week. Then put that in. I also want to found we're the only student government that has a site like this, and I think that's really awesome. Sorry, I like the I've also been, even though we don't have to next year, I don't mind, but I'm starting thinking of strategies for next year as far as getting our outreach up and coming starting next semester. So I've started formulating these ideas in my own positional because I belong to whoever's position. Also, baseball game tonight. I hope everyone can go. We'll go. Just raise your hand if you're playing 7 p.m. Probably fighting rounds. It'll be fun. It's right at sunset. It's nice out. It stops. We'll leave probably after the next Oh, one more thing. Or it's trade marketing. Make sure you push the areas of that. I'm sure.
Any questions? Okay, moving on to Director of Finance.
Hey everyone, happy Friday. Thank you, Jade. So thank you, in addition to all of those who are at the BAC meeting, we have now allocated to date $254,000, $71.15 to student orgs alone, bringing us to a grand total of allocations for the year $341,512.65, meaning the remaining we have roughly $8,387.35. Any questions on that? Oh, awesome. Originally, I was pushing for legislation to be added today regarding individualized travel funding. That will be most likely tabled as there were some structural issues within the document, so that will be on the agenda for the last Senate meeting. As far as other updates, myself along with Ernesto, Jimmy have been conducting interviews starting today and on Wednesday for positions for next year. And so continuing on throughout the next week, we'll also have more interviews. And then in addition to that, also having more transition meetings with Green. Sorry for the shakiness, I just have a lot of caffeine.
Any questions for Jackson? Okay, moving on to Director of Local Affairs. Okay. Director of Technology.
So I've been continuing collecting feedback for the Wi-Fi. It's going pretty well. I saw a couple of you put stuff out. I'm very thankful for that. I've been talking to Bryce. He has for his getting food on the pool, a really nice looking survey. So I'm going to talk to him and try and get something like that for Wi-Fi. So hopefully we can push that out. I think it'll be a lot easier for students when they can just type something into a really nice looking form and it'll just send it to us. I've also been talking to Brian Custer. He was here, I believe, 2 meetings ago, talking about rogue access points. So I have been talking to him about exactly how and why they disrupt ASU Wi-Fi and how best to explain that to students as opposed to like just the memo that was sent out. How basically so that I can get the elevator speech down. So students ask me like, oh, how's my printer gonna disrupt all of our Wi-Fi? I can actually tell them, and I think students will be a lot more receptive to that when it's actually explained to them. And that concludes my updates. Any questions?
Okay. Moving on to Director of University Affairs.
Happy Friday, everybody. A few updates. So as Abdel mentioned, we are still working to get a representative at Tempe. Heidi did a great job and reached out to the Senate President over at Tempe, and we're hopefully going to make a jaunt over to Tempe to speak with some incoming senators. As Karina and Abdel also mentioned about the wellness meeting, we have that going on. We're hoping to make a connection that will build on next semester, so we can actually start doing the STI testing and just like standardized sexual wellness on campus here. I also work with Ron to make sure that our I-Course task force meeting will stay on task, that we have everything kind of laid out and have a mission that we're going to accomplish. We're also working on successor reports for our incoming university affairs or whatever policy director we will have, just to make sure that when they come in, they're going to be situated, can ask their questions to us, and can be successful on day one. That's about it.
Who's responsible for directors? Are there also senators?
That's a good question. I defer to Ryan for that.
We broke it down into 8 areas of policy stuff. So we're not actually putting together direct reports. It makes no sense to put direct reports for a director position analysis. So we're going to send that to everyone. They're like, hey, this is what states does. Hey, this is what the city does. Hey, this is what does. And how it actually check. So everyone will take it. I mean, we're beggars, not cheaters.
Thanks, man.
Any more questions? Okay, now we're moving on to the Senate President report. Lauren did not have a report, so we will do policy reports. So Barrett?
So this week, majority of my week was spent reviewing applications for the Centennial Professor Award. It's an award that is given out to junior faculty. It's 2 parts with $5,000 in each part going towards students, and then for them to do research or whatever they wanted to go towards. So that took a lot of my time, as well as trying to get more feedback from the Wi-Fi and spreading Bryce's STFC survey. And then I wrote a piece of legislation.
I just want to take time to thank Case. I know I had some other staff members that helped me with the Centennial Professor Award, so any of them that did that, thank you. It's completely voluntary, and it's a lot of work. So I really, really appreciate it. So thank you all for, because downtown's actually been known within COP that our staff members actually do the items that are passed down to us that are university-wide thing, and I love that I continue to have that representation, so thank you. That's it.
Now we're moving on to Monica. Sorry.
Hey, happy Friday. I'm just elaborating with me on what Adele and Nate said, so I'm waiting back, waiting for a response back from Nick about who's going to be in the Senate for next year in Tennessee, so I think we're in contact. Those people who said maybe they discuss what's going to happen for the rest of the semester and for the next semester with their new medical fees. And then I also plan on talking to Adele with the commissions from the I'm super excited for it. And then I also talked to Bryce about the meeting next week, and hopefully towards you gets that very valuable information back.
So it's been a really busy week. I did inference for the meet and greet, which went really well. I thought it was really cool that we did like the big 3 meet and greet because it kind of brought in more students because it's kind of more awareness and also like there's more pull on the other side of campus because I know our office is so far out of the way, so that was really cool to see. I did the Earth Day marketing, so if everyone could please share the event there, that would be really awesome. I will be printing posters and putting them up on Monday. If anyone would like to help me with that, that'd be really great. I also made the volunteer sheet, and I know I posted on Facebook and Mark posted on Facebook, so please sign up, or if you can't come and volunteer, please write why and all that kind of stuff.
Did you change the sheets back?
Yes. So, yeah, I did check that last night. You sent me that. I got food waivers in for all of our food vendors, and Ernie got tents and tables reserved and all that kind of stuff. We revamped the point system, and I made a flyer for the printout to be taped on the table so people can see what the point system will be. And then I have a lunch set up with Dean Pike on Tuesday of next week, and several USG members are also attending, and I think we have like a private room for meetings. But so if anyone has any questions for Dean Pike, please send them my way, and I think it's supposed to be like kind of so it'll be really nice to get to talk to Dean Pike out of like a really formal kind of meeting, because she's really open to talking to students, so that's really nice about the meeting. So biggest thing I want to stress is Earth Day stuff. Please sign up and help me out with the event. Share out everything as to as many people as you can. Invite your friends that are from the downtown campus.
Can everybody raise their hand that's invited people to the Facebook event? Okay, so everybody not raising their hand, but.
Thank you.
Do you actually know, you probably don't understand, do you know about the gaming group numbers? That's what what the actual numbers were?
From last year.
No, this last week, we actually had one.
I believe when I was doing, I guess, the number I believe Bryce said is 103.
I was just gonna say, when I checked it at like 60. 68. Any more questions? Okay, moving on to classes.
My week kind of was a fun week this week. So I also participated with the meet and greet, which is super fun. I made some part of getting that feedback. Also, today I met with the college council. We had a really good meeting. We have kind of like direction finally for reaching out to students for next year. So I'm really excited for that. And then I was looking into like the different ways that like the other colleges do their advising. I know you had talked about like maybe teaming up, or I don't know what you would do on that.
Do you want me to respond?
Yeah.
So we met with Frederick Corey and talked about all the academic advising issues going on. And so I'm actually sending him an email after the Senate meeting today to see all the updates, because it's also something that's mentioned in the athletics week. It's mentioned in the athletics week that we have to spend time making sure advising is equitable across the whole university, and that sufficient training is supplied, and that's something that we actually asked for. So I'm going to get an update from him, and when I do, I'll send it to all of you. So.
And that's it.
Hi, everyone. So this week I had a good discussion with Claudia upstairs in the Dean's office. We worked with student boards. We basically kind of planned projections for next year for the Sun Devil Coalition. We talked about Sun Devil safety and how improvements are kind of happening on that, and just getting the gist of all that stuff. Planning for Earthing Market has been working out very well, and we're continuing to do that. I can't stress it enough. Please do invite your friends to this via Facebook Messenger, word of mouth. Thank you, EAC, for working on this with me. It's been a bumpy road, but we're getting things together, and I can't thank you guys enough for that. Let's see here. And basically, that's all I've been doing. It's just been base stuff this entire week. Other than that,
Any questions? Okay, moving on to prom night. I went to the host meeting for I went to the meet and greet this week, and then also sharing surveys for the Wi-Fi and the pool, and then working with everyone on the bills that we'll talk about later. And then also EAC things. So we had hopefully sort of gone through just because they didn't have enough donation allocation funds for this month that they couldn't give us, and then the other whole week is not getting back to us. So we worked on in the AAC to go ahead and contact Sprouts and Fry's, different places, but we're having issues with like tax ID numbers and all of that jazz. So we're going to try to figure something out. But I'm hoping that we have enough tangible items that we can still have a successful event, but produce is really important to this event. So we're going to work on that. But
That's the same way you're doing stuff on the ACP.
And then I've been reaching out to my dean because he had questions on how effective the new edit-based service has been in our college. We kind of revamped the way that we do it, so the students have to sign up online to actually be able to be in the edit-based Pass 12. And so he wanted to know if that has been an effective way for us to allow students to stay, and from what I'm hearing it has been, but I'm reaching out individually to contact students to see how they like it and if they've used it. And then also just continuing to gather feedback because we joined, we had the freshmen, this is difficult to describe, but we had a class that was originally for sophomores and now it's offered to freshmen. And so he wants feedback from that, seeing how the freshmen like taking this class. So just reaching out to my freshman friends and seeing if they like it or not. Their feedback. Moving on to Bylaw solutions.
Yeah, no updates on the vendor survey. Hopefully they get back to me.
Even sending home photos.
I need to talk to them again. I gotta have a priority for them. I wrote a resolution for House Bill 2321. We'll hear about that later. That's resolution 32, I believe. And then just talking to students about Wi-Fi and SDFC.
Is the vendor machine survey a private research, or is that like the universities doing an internal satisfaction?
Yeah, it was a survey to students.
But is it from like a singular professor, or is it from the university? If it's from the university, that has to be public meeting law. So, well, not public meeting, public records law.
It's from the College of Health Solutions. Yeah, so it's actually, it should be from a university entity that actually ended up putting it out. So, yes, that is something that we actually do. I don't think it's something they don't want to give it to us.
Yeah.
I just think they probably forgot about us. So,
It's still okay for us, that's an option.
it is, yeah.
Now we're moving on to Senate Bill 23. Oh, sorry.
23 is the reunification bill for the executive rules and the Senate bylaws. This is to put the additional duties back within the document. If it passes, it will be the same kind of document as the simple draft of the bylaws, which means that we're not changing anything in the content of the document, either documents, but we are basically putting executive rules back into the Senate bylaws for the Senate to have control over that, for the main reasons that it is sensitive with your power budget. You have control over the main structure of the university, though the executives can create whatever positions they want that aren't funded. And the other thing, though, is that when you look at this, executives exist in a hierarchy. Technically, and for the longest time, it was that you don't go against your superior, which would be that I would not speak against any executive Rena had, or you would not, or Nathan would not speak against any that I had. We've tried to avoid that now, but in the future, that's what the normal situation is. And further, the Senate is a body of up to 12 different individuals representing and deriving their power from the colleges. Every single one of the directors is a hand-picked person from the executives, meaning that when we choose our own rules regarding our own duties, it is far more likely that basically we have our own biases versus having 12 senators have biases in that regard. Can it be abused? Yes.
every side of this can be abused. You can have an executive board abuse its role, you can have a senate abuse its role. That's not gonna change. I think though that the least likely situation is that the Senate will end up going off the rails with that. And it'll be a lot harder for them to actually screw this up than it will be for us. Furthermore, this simplifies it so that people don't have to read two different documents to try to figure out what people's roles are. And then we don't have the same thing where we're gonna have two bills here that we have currently listed as discussion only that we're gonna flip to make it a Senate thing if it passes or not, because there's been confusion even among our own ranks as to what needs to be a Senate vote and what does not need to be a Senate vote. If the joke is right now, we could bring up something that says we do not need to go to the Senate to talk about tuition at all. And you guys could absolutely hate it. And we could still come back and vote with 2/3 of those success. So the idea here is to remove that, simplify the thing, one document that the Senate controls, the executives are still going to be the ones that probably have to make comments, won't be the ones mainly looking at this stuff. And then suggesting that the rules are then abandoned unless there's something that we can point out that is something that we can better monitor than you. Additional duties, probably not. But if there's something else, sure. But until then, it's simpler to have one document. That's the case for Senate Bill 23.
Any questions? Is there a motion? Somebody? Is there a movement to refer? Hold on. All those in favor of approving Senate Bill 23, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? Approved. So since that has been approved, we're going to need to amend the agenda for point 14 and 17 to say discussion and vote rather than just discussion. Is there a motion on that? Okay, all those in favor of amending the agenda, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, approved. Moving on to Senate Bill 24.
So this is now with the Senate, with the rules back in the Senate bylaws, that thing you passed last time that said that we had to come to you guys, that the president had to come get feedback and have that vote. This is your opportunity to add it in right now. The executives did not actually pass this through. As a full disclosure, we ended up tabling this in our executive board meeting because there was some discussion as to whether or not the president should be bound by a Senate vote. I will be arguing for that basically we have. But again, believe that much like the past one, that there's a lot more, it's less likely for 12 of us to screw up than it is for one person to screw up, or for 12 people to basically be guided in the wrong direction rather than it would be if you get one person guided in the wrong direction. However, that'll be up to you. This is your opportunity to add that in because from now we're looking towards removing that executive rules and that is not in the rules. So that's it. I'll see you.
Any questions? Okay, is there a motion on the floor? Okay, all those in favor of approving Senate Bill 24, say aye. Aye. All those opposed?
Nay.
Any abstentions? Okay, passes. Right, moving on to Senate Bill 25.
Also, please vote. There's a few people that I can't actually tell who's voting. And we'll pass that on a push vote, but basically if you're not voting, then that's an application responsibility.
Because we just have 2 people vote nay, but then 3 people abstain. Sorry, 2 people vote yes, but 3 people abstain.
There were 3 yes, we had 1 nay, I saw 0 abstentions. So of that, we have 2 non-voters. So within that, be careful because that really that passed off a voice vote essentially. But anyway, 25 is a bill that will take some of the other articles within the bylaws in the Senate side, combine them into a section side. That way you don't have a separate article for task forces, which are ad hoc committees, and standing committees. You'll just have one article for committees, and then a section on standing committees, which are permanent, and task forces, which are not permanent. There's that and a few other small things that we did.
And no substantial policy change has been made. This is simply a reorganization. So vote no if you want to keep it at 13 articles. Vote yes if you want to reduce it down to like 10. That's how it is.
Second.
All those in favor of approving Senate Bill 25, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? None passes. Moving on to Senate Bill 26.
Sorry, this is, okay, so Senate Bill 26 and 27, by the way, are actually exactly the same in the sense that it's just updating different articles within it. And I know you guys have to make amendments, so I'm sorry, try to make these, but we didn't know it was going to happen or not. Anyway, summary myself. But basically, I was also trying to, whenever I could, make the Senate and the executive the same policies, because I figured that's easy for everybody, especially if we start acting on the same document. And so what this says is that any member of the USGD executive board, next bill, the Senate board of the Senate, upon accumulation of more than 4 absence points during one academic semester, shall be considered non-citizen. Unexcused absences from mandatory meetings will be worth 2 absence points. Excused absences will be worth 1 absence point. Upon accumulation of more than 4 points, a staff member shall be deemed non-citizen. There's also a point that I don't have to amend, but it does say that late absences do count as 1 excused absence point, so keep that in mind. This was because right now, the way the executive board's attendance policy was written with and, so you could have 2 unexcused absences and 4 excused absences and you weren't non-citizen. And so I was like, no, it's probably just be a point system. And that way, if you have 1 unexcused, but then you have 2 excused, you're close to your limit. If you go one after that, then you're gonna have that level of points. It's actually mimicking what the Senate already had. In the Senate bylaws, I'm just basically adding that you guys are gonna have 1 point count for excused absences. That got taken out last year, and so I'm just saying, so. Question?
So there's agency right before the Senate, and then there's the box right after. So like, let's say presumably Riley, she's not here today, and so like, let's say she's in USC the box, and she's in the Senate, and she's excused of that 1.
So I would say that I would look at that as 3 separate absences, because the fact is that if we have a Saturday thing going on and I have a training during the day and a team builder at night, if you make the team builder, I'm gonna count that. I wouldn't not count it just because you didn't make beginning of the day, you know what I mean? You're then arguing that the whole day will kind of count as one thing. When I feel like that actually counts as a disservice to staff members at the same time, because then how would I respond if Riley made it to 1 meeting, but didn't make it to another? You know what I mean? What would our response be then? So I would think we'd probably want to go by meeting basis. By the way, this year you all did stack meetings a lot. It's not a bad thing, but it doesn't always happen that way every year. So if someone does get really sick, it doesn't always happen like that. But yeah, so that's how I think most supervisors will end up reading it. Yeah.
And also for excused absences, is it for the USGD or just like that are like set like that have the minutes?
So it's, in your mind, it's going to be all ones basically that agendas and minutes have been deemed mandatory by the Senate president. This one will be president. So for like the president, that's president's meetings, executive board meetings, and Senate meetings. For Senate, it's going to be all the committee meetings those as well, because those are delineated in your bylaws as part of your duties. And then this would probably end up applying to where we do have a line where it says that the Senate president are allowed to deem certain things mandatory. It's like when we have mandatory trainings, you guys know we have a lot of optional ones, but at the very beginning we have mandatory trainings, so like 3 days that we let you know, I think actually 3 months in advance of the dates, maybe 2 months a lot. Those would have been counted as well.
You said this is per semester, so it rates in the next semester.
Yeah, this is written so it's during 1 academic semester.
Okay.
Any more questions?
And you guys are asking questions.
Yes. So I sent this to you in that email. So the blue is what is already there. The red is what needs. That's what it can be changed to. So since we passed 23, it will now need to read Title 2, Article 8, Section 1, Subsection 1. Okay, all those in favor of amending Senate Bill 26 to read Title 2, Article 8, Section 1, Subsection 1.1, say aye. Aye. Any abstentions? Okay, passes. Okay, is there a motion on the floor to?
Motion.
All those in favor of approving Senate Bill 26, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, any abstentions? Okay, passes. Okay, moving on to Senate Bill 27.
This is everything. Go through this. Your guys, by the way, like I said, it's actually, yours was already this way. I'm just adding excuse absences for that, for it shall be worth 1 absence point and wrong to that. And then it'll read exactly the same. But you will have to change it to.
So it needs to be amended to read Title 3, Article 2, Section 1, Subsection 1. Okay, all those in favor of amending Senate Bill 27, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, any abstentions? Okay, passes. Okay. All right, is there a motion on the floor to vote? Okay, all those in favor of approving Senate Bill 27, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, any abstentions? Okay, passes. Moving on to Senate Bill 28.
Good. So this is updating the strike system. Again, it reads the same in exec and senate. So I think you guys can change those too. So the reason why this came about was because I was noticing there's actually a lack of uniformity in the way that supervisors give strikes, which actually it's not good for the supervisor, but it's also not good for the supervisee, because then they're not entirely quite sure unless the supervisor's, making it very clear to them when they are going to get a strike. And that's partly some of the issues we dealt with this year of like, well, do we give a strike after you've missed 3 oral reports? Do we give a strike for a single oral report or what? So I worked with Jay, Warren, and Jackson. And this is basically kind of what we came up with. And it's really honestly supposed to help both the supervisor but also the supervisee. So it's very clear about when strikes are going to happen and when we declare non-PSN. So this basically says that senators or executive will be issued a strike if they are found guilty of any single instance of misconduct. Misconduct can include the following: violating any points in Article 2, which are your duties as delineated with the bylaws, which is now going to be redundant. Missing a project deadline, any misconduct not previously mentioned as reasonably interpreted by the USGD Senate President, or not trusting the appropriate business casual higher bench for meetings, upon the accumulation of 5 strikes within a single term. So that's term. So if I served a year, that would be 5 for me. If you served a semester, that would be 5 for your term. Any member of the Senate or executive may be considered non-PSN. The senator being issued the strike has the right to appeal the strike with the full Senate within 2 business days. The Senate must discuss the appeal at its next regularly scheduled meeting, and a simple majority Senate vote, approval or denial of the appeal, must be taken at Senate meeting. That was supposed to put a check and balance because, like Ryan was talking about, is we can have insane people in any position. So if I went crazy and I started giving way too many strikes, you would have a whole Senate to appeal to that, to your rationality and my irrationality. You'd be able to come in and say, well, we're going to give you a project deadline of 5 minutes from what you told me. That was not feasible. I don't deserve the strike. Simple majority vote, and then say like, no, you don't deserve that strike. We'll move that to the record. So that was supposed to be the check and balance there. And remember, we also had an issue with like lost and more reports count. I'm just making sure you understand where I was coming from. That would not be covered in missing a project deadline. So.
Any questions?
So, lots of more reports don't count.
They do. In item B, missing a project deadline, that would now be counted as missing a board report deadline or a block deadline. And by the way, we did, so Warren, as well as I think Jay, unless I'm speaking out of turn, but I believe they both had concerns about the 3, and then that only allowed 3 strikes, and then we're counting every single report, so that's why we got 5. So, and I know I had some staff members that did ask a very good question of like, should we have a warning system or something? In reality, the strike system is kind of a warning system because nothing happens to you when there's a strike. It's just a way to clearly note how many strikes you have so that you're aware. Because otherwise, it means the supervisor has to tell you also. That's the other thing that's good about it, is that I'm not just sitting as a supervisor being like, oh, I'm upset about all these things. And then suddenly I'm really mad I don't have to declare on PSN, but this is making it to where I have to tell you. Like, you have 1 strike, you have 2, 3 more, you know what's going to happen. And also, I think one of the great things is that it deletes bias. It's just in the bylaws. Follow the bylaws. I'm sorry, as a backward person it is. So.
I'd also like to say, as a person who has received strikes, I would say that I do appreciate this because it is more of like, hey, this is clearly why you're getting a strike. And for other senators in the future, this would just help them out. Me coming from that situation is a little sticky, so this would just basically cover that with the bylaws.
And also, I would like to note that this the appeal system is a lot more clear now, so it doesn't just say appeal, it has a very clear process, which will also help with the Any questions? Okay, we have to amend this one also. So. Okay. All those in favor? Wait. All those in favor of amending Senate Bill 28, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, approved. Great. Is there a motion on the floor? Okay, all those in favor of approving Senate Bill 28, say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, that one passes. And then Senate Bill 29 is essentially the same thing, but for the executive board side. You guys want to discuss that, or?
Just if you have a question, the executive board would appeal to the Senate. They were going to so they still would turn all of you.
We vote on this one?
Yeah.
Okay, for a second?
Yes.
Okay, all those in favor of amending the Senate Bill 29, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, it's been amended.
Subsection 2, not 2.1. Because all the other subsections have stayed the same. This is the first one that changed, so that's why I was asking.
Subsection 2.
Because I have subsection 2. And then the next subsection is 2.2, so we're also changing the next one.
Okay, so,
I will see this. So I was editing that one and the next one I added that one. So the subsections should stay the same time. Because right now, I'm just saying that you have to amend it to say this says subsection 2 to say subsection 2.1. It should say subsection 2.
okay,
Then it's just changing the letters.
sorry.
So I think you have to amend it to the end. So, yeah, just
Getting the same wording, just, yeah.
Has it to,
yeah. Cool, yeah. Well, then they just amended the subsection.
it's section 2.
Okay, those subsections stay.
All those in favor of approving Senate Bill 29, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, any abstentions? Okay, that one passes. Moving on to Senate Bill 30. Maybe you want to discuss it?
Oh, yeah.
A second?
Guys, I was I was responsible as well with that.
What was the question?
We have to vote on it, yeah, discuss.
Okay, well,
I mean, just, well, you want to
there's a second and we vote.
Oh.
So, don't vote, just maybe be careful with the vote.
Okay, all those in favor of discussing Senate Bill 30?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, passes. We're going to discuss Senate Bill 30, sorry.
So I just wanted to spoke to Jackson, and it basically says that people who are applying for travel funding, they have to apply individually, as a district is located. But there are several issues with the zero itself that need to be completed. So I know Jackson and I discussed before this meeting that we will be doing this bill. I'm not sure where we stand on that right now. So I think we're going to table it at our discussion. If anybody else has any position of that. So we can fix it in the thing.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor of tabling Senate Bill 30, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, table, or Senate Bill 30 is tabled. Okay, moving on to Senate Resolution 31.
Okay, so
This one, it's not any different than anything we've already discussed about some middle express the recommendation that we for next year. It's basically just establishing some of the basic facts about it, the ridership numbers and how much about that is costing the provider, supporting and then just saying we are recommending continuation of the Monday through Thursday route, and we are recommending continuation of the Sunday grocery route and one more day. So it's not addressing any future service that the next Senate would consider, just because that's something that the next Senate would consider as something that necessarily in this next session.
To discuss.
Second. Okay, all those in favor of discussing Senate Resolution 31, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, any abstentions?
So, the one thing that I saw here was that we should support some continuation and expansion of the Sunday Safeway. So, probably the plan is right now, or are we just saying that we like support like an expansion? And that's what we're looking for, just as a conversation.
It's just saying that we recommend, because a lot of the student feedback was, I will use the service, but I can't go on Sunday, but I can see them on Tuesday and I on Wednesday or something. So it's just saying that we support the idea that it's continue to do that. It's not a rush.
To add on to that, I know, like, this is kind of part, like, it was kind of like a statement to say that the Senate recommends the next Senate, because they are the ones that make the decision, and they want to continue.
This will have a significant aspirational effect upon the next Senate. So whatever you say in this document, you say you want to approve something, or if you want to basically not do something, will most likely be what your peers will think is the right thing to do if they've not been in this discussion. So whatever you pass along will likely be that. I caused quite a controversy at the beginning of legislative this year because obviously brought forth senator opinions that said it was not a good idea. But we didn't actually formalize any resolution. So you may expect told that the language that it was given to do among most people. So whatever you put in this document will be likely what ends up getting carried on among your peers that do not have experience in this field. So be careful what you write. So make sure it's clear what you want to state.
I'm kind of with Heidi on this one, just the word continuation. Expansion. The word expansion kind of seems a little, what exactly do you mean by expansion? That's just one question. Continuation, to me, I understand that, but expansion wise.
I think expansion just means moving forward, next Senate would look to, as Kat said, is that add a Safeway weekday ride instead of just the parking lot or residential beach ride. No one uses
Maybe like adding further after that, so there's kind of confusion using that expansion, like adding to the document saying, hey, you're going to have this potentially another day of the week.
If there is confusion around the possible wording of this document, then possibly just adding the word possible expansion of something. Something simple.
Movement to amend. Senate Resolution 31, where it states, be it resolved that the Registry of Government Council approves the continuation and expansion of the Sunday route to Safeway. I would want to change that to be resolved that the Registry of Government Council approves the continuation and possible expansion of the Sunday route to Safeway.
Is there a second? Okay, all those in favor of amending Senate Resolution 31, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. Right, it has been
amended.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor of approving Senate Resolution 31, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, any abstentions? It's been approved. Okay, moving on to Senate Resolution 32, Mr. Hunter.
Hello, everyone. So this resolution supports House Bill 2321, a bill that instructs the Arizona Board of Regents to establish a pilot program to offer internships to students studying science, technology, and engineering and mathematics, or STEM fields. So this would be a 5-year pilot program, and a board, it would basically instruct a board or the A board universities that participate to establish agreements with businesses to provide internships for students in STEM fields, and that would allow students to be much more competitive in graduate applications that are going to be very competitive.
Just a point of clarification, graduates of Arizona high school students.
Yeah, so I'll get to that eligibility. The eligibility is you have to be an Arizona high school graduate with a 3.0 GPA, be enrolled in the STEM program at an A board university, and intern no more than 15 hours a week. And to renew for a second year, you have to have all the same qualifications. In addition, you have to complete at least 24 credit hours a year, and also finish 80% of your enrolled credits, so not drop too many classes. And this will include the internship program, will include a $5,000 scholarship for the 2 years. And it says also in the bill that 50% of the money has to come from private sources. Then,
With a scholarship.
yeah, the scholarship money has to come from private sources. So, so the Arizona government isn't paying too much for it, but they would pay a substantial amount. It'd be appropriating $1 million each year for fiscal years 2017 to 2022, 2021. And then after each year, an annual report will be sent to the governor, Speaker of the House, the President of the Senate, and then just giving like student participation, number of students as interns, and the money's appropriated. And the appropriations are non-lapsing, and then if they're not used, they would refer to the general fund.
Consider the motion to discuss.
Move to discuss.
Second.
Okay, all in favor of the motion to discuss Senate Resolution 32, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, any abstentions?
So just, point of clarification. So 50% would come from private and
At least.
okay, yeah, these 50 would come from, private, and then, the other rest would be, and then the rest would be the state.
Yeah.
All those in favor of supporting or approving Senate Resolution 32, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Any abstentions? It passes. Okay, moving on to call to the audience. Okay, moving on to final statements. Do we have the final statements? Ryan?
We'll have more fun on the April 29th one. But also just to note, Supreme Court rules can take 3 hours of my life to type that out and scan documents. You can actually try to fix those things. They are in horrendous condition. So if you want to help along with that, there will be a request to have a sponsor for that for my meeting and I'm trying to get that on the field, including the fact that it'll probably happen at one University Senate meeting they're planning in August, which I would note, all the things like your I-course fee, your proctoring, or the amendments required for the court case, all have to go down there, and it would be very, very helpful if you start talking with your senators when you're doing that retreat, when you're doing other things, because there is extreme cultural differences between each branch of ASASU. And assuming that Tempe centers will think the way that you do, or that West centers will think the way that you do, is a surefire recipe for failure, because they will not think the way that you do, because we have all sorts of differences. West, I love that they do everything in paper. So that's a fun kind of situation. West is very rules-based, Tempe has been very much on proportionality. They're harping on that over and over and over again. So it's better to talk with these senators now before those massive university-wide issues come up, and then you accidentally end up amending something where we might all be agreeance, but we're one branch out of 5, so we get outvoted. So just keep that in mind.
Any more comments? Is there a motion to adjourn the meeting at 4:18?
Motion to adjourn.
Okay, all those in favor of adjourning, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, any abstentions? Meeting adjourned at 4:18.